So Northern Campion now is in 4th place on score of 61.97. So first Still Diamond 10, second Tango 5, third Rambo, 4th Northern Campion, then Sheer-Etiquette, Ostra, Max Jasper. So I didn't see all the tests, unfortunately. I was not here to see some of them in the middle. I just did see Caroline Wagner's test, and she must be really impressed with that because I know they're a new combination to the level. And Fisherman's Friends test, I said it'll be close. There's a whole percent difference. So it's into 3rd place behind Caroline Wagner, the judge at E62, H 62.8, C 62.1, M 63.8, B 62.4. So it's interesting to see that for Caroline Wagner, the judges at E and B, the side judges gave Caroline 65.8 and 65, and they gave Tor Vandenberg 62 and 62, and the judges in the middle were a little bit higher on Tor, the judge at C 62 compared to Caroline 61, and 63 compared to Mary Siegfried 61 for Caroline. So from the side, you get a better look at the frame, the roundness and uphill feeling, the feeling of the horse over the back, and the engagement of the hindquarters. So from the side, the judges didn't like Tor's as much as Caroline Wagner's. So Caroline's must have been a little bit more uphill looking. So first at the moment, Marie, second Caroline Wagner, third Tor Vandenberg, and then the young rider Stephanie Spencer from WA on Rambo. Now in the arena we have the Black Stallion by Rubenstein, Regardez Moi. The horse missing from this class is Bullwinkle and Heath's wife, Rosie. And GV Bullwinkle, as we speak, is at home in New South Wales on the Central Coast, standing in the stable in a little yard waiting to fly out. So he's in quarantine. So I'm not sure what's happening. The judge hopped out of the car. Maybe she sounded the horn and we didn't hear it. So I haven't seen Rosie here, but I'm sure she's hoping that Heath can do a super test. It's a little tricky. Heath is a little hard of hearing, but for those that aren't certain, when the gates opened, it means that the bell has gone. So, it's a visual thing as well as a hearing thing. So if the gates open, you can enter. From behind, it's very straight. Yep, and dead square. That final step with the left hind up into the right spot, and a square halt is like with Mayfield Pizzazz, when we saw little mistakes like this is where you gain marks. Now in the extended trot, we look for a nice cadenced rhythm and an active hind leg with a big over track. When you see a little bit of dirt when the hind foot hits the ground scuffing up forwards, it's a little sign maybe that there could be a little bit more engagement. The half pass right. I mean, the sideways feeling, the elasticity of the strides and the balance in this half pass is really quite amazing. Especially, we get a great view of it from behind, but also from the front. And, he seems to make the one to the left and the one to the right similarly. Today, perhaps the one to the left, a little bit, no, it's great, super job, and no change in rhythm, no change at the end and the beginning of the trot. And again, what I'm not so keen on is in the downward transition, the horse becoming very open in the gullet and the nose very in front of the vertical with the neck very high like that. I just wonder sometimes how through and over the back he is. But by the same token, he's certainly doing a super mistake-free test at the moment. Now in the passage, again, a little interruption in the beginning of the rhythm, and he's working quite hard with his hands to keep the stallion's head up, but I don't know how much high it can come. There is no question about him coming behind the vertical. I can assure you he's got a high pole as the highest point, and his nose is absolutely in front of the vertical. So When you look at the rules, that's what they want. That's what you see. Now in the extended walk, the nose should be well in front of the vertical, and he is got the wind in his face, and he reckons he's not putting his nose out. There we go, a little bit. That's better. It's better at the end, but in the beginning, the objective of the exercise is to see the horse increase the purpose and the length of the stride in the walk, and to really stretch and draw towards the contact with a longer neck and open pole. And sometimes he just misses a little bit in the frame. The collected walk is not so good here. It's really anticipating Piaffe. And Heath, I'm not sure, with his hands and his body language a little bit. Whoa. It's very difficult because it's going to be a poor mark for the collected walk, and the transition should be walk passage, and it was Piaffe passage. So I think that's going to be a big glitch in marks for Heath. And with Diamantina breathing down his neck, I'm sure that they could be very costly. But, you know, the transition in and out of the Piaffe and passage is certainly a highlight, and there's several of them in this test, and Heath certainly doesn't miss a chance to gain a few marks. Now, is it passage canter? Not really. Maybe a little tricky couple of trot steps before the canter. For me, I find that the horse is maybe not covering quite enough ground in the collected canter, and maybe a little bit not over the back enough. Correct number and correct sequence in the twos, but for the eights, you know, need to have a very straight horse where the hind leg and the front leg are absolutely in a straight line, following one another, and he is a little bit jumping to one side and the other. Extended canter, a little quick. Collected canter flying change, clear transition, and again the change just lacks a little bit of cadence and air. 4, 5, 6. 5, 6. 5, 6. 2, 3 back to centre line. Change. You know, that's when you've done as many zigzags as this horse, I guess, you know, you get better than the ones that look, you know, they just look a little bit, a little hurried and a little bit too quick, and so you don't get a feeling of sitting there and breathing out going, oh, aren't they beautiful? It's a little bit like, oh, is he going to miss one? So when you have that feeling of holding your breath, thinking, oh, is he going to make it? And, you know, here you go, Heath's specialty, you know, the canter pirouettes, and he does the most fabulous job in the pirouettes. And, of course, they're coefficient marks. So, you know, oh, that one's a little bit quick, perhaps. Not quite controlled, but still, you know, hey, 7's fine. Transition to trot. Could have been a little bit more in the corner. Out of the corner, I mean. And again, perhaps for a better mark, a little more over track, a little more cadence and lift in those extended trot strides. Now, this is a telltale bit. This is some very big marks. So you've got a mark for the passage here on the centre line. And you've got a mark for this Piaffe here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He can get out at any time. And it was cleanly in and out from behind. The Piaffe looked a little bit like it was getting a bit slow. And the passage is really straight and purposeful towards the judge. And it should be passage, halt, and it is. So, you know, you've got a passage mark, Piaffe passage, transition mark, a Piaffe mark, passage mark, and a halt mark. So there's a lot of marks on that centre line. I'm sure Heath will be kicking himself for that collected walk mistake, because there's a mark there and then there's a mark in that transition to passage. So it's not so easy. So still, the mark to beat is going to be Diamantina on 65.78.